What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, RAF ESPARZA, coming to you with another great installment of the Bullpen, a joint venture between Inside BJJ and the Grappling Hour. I hope you're having a great day. Some of us have been struggling to get to the end of this week, but I got to tell you, the hardest thing I had to endure this week was watching somebody round the bases in the 11th inning and saying, did he touch home plate? Legitimately could not even celebrate a win against the Phillies until I said, no, show me no, don't cut. Show me that man touching home plate. And you know what? I think it was in such a rough spot for the Phillies that even when you have a pitcher that is, they were just going to give it to us anyways. But nonetheless, a good day for the Dodgers. And much more. But noted not Dodger fan, Tim Freeman is also joining us.
You know, it's never a good morning after the Dodgers have won. Didn't expect much out of the Phillies, to be honest with you. The Dodgers knock them out. Who are the Dodgers going on to play? Has the other series been decided yet?
Not decided fully, but we are looking at either the Brewers or the Cubs, and it will become a house divided because my wife has been very good about trying to get us Dodgers tickets, did get us Dodgers tickets, got them for yesterday's game, didn't look at the time, read the time, and said 3:08 p.m.?
Yeah.
Who has the time for that? I'm working. And I go, babe, you have to look at the times because sometimes they fluctuate. And she goes, no, I'm not. So she sells them, but we're going next week. And if we do, we're going for game 2. And if we do see her Cubs win, her goodwill toward the Dodgers will go away. And maybe this isn't the smartest idea to go live and cheer for things in public. But you know what? We're going to risk it all. So we'll see. Hard to say. Yeah. But nonetheless, I like the Cubs just fine. They don't really come on my radar as long as they don't win. Like, that's kind of the thing. Is like, if your thing is being the lovable losers, I need you to consistently not win for me to love you the same way.
Yeah, right. I agree with you. And to be honest, I was pretty surprised. My son and I went up to Chicago a couple months back, and we got to go to Wrigley. We watched them play the Baltimore Orioles, which was like whatever, but, you know, still got to go. I was expecting the Cubs fans to be obnoxious. Oh, I'm Chicago. Blah, blah. They were just a bunch of nice, polite Midwestern people. I'm going to be honest. I was kind of let down. I was brought up on the Candlestick Park Giants versus Dodgers vibe, and Wrigley was much too mild for that.
Oh, no, it's very sweet. They're very nice. And, you know, for the most part, you just have to sit there and go, all right, nerds, I'm from LA. I don't want to hear anything of it. Let's all enjoy ourselves. And they're usually pretty nice. But they do ask you questions about LA that sound like you're under oath at all times. So they're always like, so do you guys just not put water in fire hydrants? And you're like, oh my God. We're at a baseball game, man. Like, I don't know what Facebook post you've been obsessing over the past few weeks and who you've been yelling at on Facebook, but just not going to get into that there. But Tim, we have some work to get through. Why don't we start with one of the biggest news items of the week? It does appear, if you were Mikey Musumeci, there is no way to win. Why is he saying this? Well, it appears that now he's starting to fight back from the criticism that all he does is a crane kick jump at his opponents. And he's saying you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. And it seems to be highlighting the fact that despite this odd and non-wrestling approach, he does submit his opponents. So, Tim, Mikey's had the mic and the opportunity to say whatever he's wanted the past few weeks. What say you about this whole melee and maybe that it's starting to crack a little bit on the mental side.
Yeah, I think Mikey is going to undergo a metamorphosis, if you will, where he realizes with the jiu-jitsu community, indeed, you are damned if you do and damned if you don't. You hit the nail on the head. This is how you get a Gordon Ryan. The jiu-jitsu community made this guy. And Mikey, he might take us. We might see Dark Mikey come out, which is probably a Musamichi I would root for. I would root for a belligerent, bratty, spoiled, arrogant, shit talking Mikey Musamichi. Just somebody that's going to come out, get in your face, tell you what he's going to do, and then do it. I think he would be very well beloved. But, he's a very sensitive guy. He's up in his feels. One, the jiu-jitsu crowd was kind of like, yo, man, you're not fighting the top guys. Claudia Gadella went out and mentioned this. We're having trouble. Sorry about that. Steve Jobs is calling me. We're having trouble finding. I got a direct line. We're having trouble finding opponents for him. It's not super easy. And then Mikey goes to Instagram and basically says everybody's just on steroids doing collar ties, trying to overpower the other person. That's the true essence of our sport, manliness. I'm trying to submit guys as fast as I can. And I think he's telling the truth. I just think he's trying to submit the wrong guys as fast as he can. If he was submitting some names out there, then we'd be like, oh, hell yeah, this is amazing to watch. As some karate crane kick and it ends up taking a guy's leg home. But it's mostly against guys that the buzz isn't that strong about. I'm not saying they're not talented. I'm just saying there's not that big of a buzz. So, Mikey's in his feels. I say lean hard, Mikey. Get real. Stockton slap somebody. Quit messing around. Quit being nice. That's the real ticket if you want the BJJers to love you.
Mikey, what do you want from us? We want good grappling, and what you exude at the beginning of your matches does not really quantify as good for TV. There was an article that went as far as to say, I forget sometimes where I read these things, but there was a blog post of some sort that said UFC made the wrong call going in on Mikey Musamichi as their main franchise star. I don't know that I want to go that far, but the argument is that perhaps you're not the guy that we need to see at the top of the card. You're a great attraction, but that we don't have the right people for you to beat. You seem to not handle this pressure, this criticism well. And that if you are engaging in rage posting or getting us to kind of come at you, bro, how are you surprised that when you talk about jiu-jitsu being a violent sport and you do a crane kick jump at somebody, that we are just supposed to sit there and go, thank you for this. Thank you.
Yeah.
We appreciate this. This is what we train week in and week out in our gyms. When we tell our kids, if you pull guard, you got to have grips. This is what we tell our kids when we say, hey, don't start on your knees. You have to learn how to wrestle. And the beautiful thing about jiu-jitsu is you can do whatever you want. Everybody has the ability to do it. So when I tell somebody who's a good guard puller, I say it's not your necessarily big responsibility that you have to out wrestle this guy. You just have to find a way to get to your game that's within whatever the constraints of the rules are. For Mikey, clearly it's not wrestling. And it's weird because I feel like I see him drilling stuff for it. We just never see it. And we're seeing the same entry over and over and over again. So from that perspective, that is why you're getting the criticism, especially from that one guy who's like, this is the wrong franchise star. In terms of notoriety, you've got it. You seem like you get along well with a lot of the main stars. You do all the things that get you attention. Like this week, you recreated the Karate Kid and showed us what it's like playing on the idea and having fun with the criticism that you're getting. I can't call it funny, but people did press a heart on it, so it means it's getting the attention. It's just, it shows that you're willing to be playful about your personality, but that the overall effect of watching it still doesn't feel satisfying. Think of it like this. Recently, people have been watching The Peacemaker, the John Cena show, and they may like episodes of the show, and they may have great feelings toward it, the production, occasional writing, but yesterday, the season finale, people went to Twitter to express their disappointment with the season finale. That's essentially what happened here. They are seeing your matches. They're aware of it. They have good things to say about it, but it feels as empty as a bad season finale where you go, I think I like this, and I really want to give it a full recommendation, but that crane kick intro, kind of boring, kind of bad. And that's just our opinion. And yet you continue to do great things about it. I would just tell you, the more you tell us we can't complain, the louder the dumber of us are going to get. And I don't know where I fall on that dumb spectrum, but I'd like to think that at my core, I like you. It just is very difficult to root for you sometimes. So hopefully that is an all-encompassing answer for something that will only be taken out of context and then appropriately yelled at us in the future.
Yeah, way to go, Raf. You really fired him up. I think you're right about the UFC maybe putting their lock on the wrong dude. Nobody wants to watch the little guy be the main attraction of the whole show. If he was like 300 pounds doing this, we would freaking love him, right? He needs to gain weight. He should just get fat. He should just come in like 220, just training but eating. You know what I mean? We could do that. We would go. I would start a GoFundMe to send that guy pizzas.
It's so magical that you have basically reduced his whole qualm with the community as, we'd like you if you were fat. So it's literally
pretty much, dude.
Like you're the Freddie Prinze Jr. and she's all that, being like, I mean, if you just took your glasses off, you'd be pretty. But instead, you went the opposite way and said, 2025 version is, yo, you're not fat or trans enough before we love you. So you better get that fat on you. And then we're going to turn to love you.
Imagine if he had a Beeble. If Mikey got a Beeble, it would set us off in a whole new direction for entertainment value. That big ass pulling guard just plopping down, just leaving marks inside.
It's
the
the
reverse igloo they got there.
Reverse igloo is a very good way to describe that. I just keep thinking this, Tim. I feel like this is a multiverse thing where if you put the pebble a little bit to the left, you might change the trajectory of history. Like maybe Mikey is supposed to be this cringe and this odd with what he does so that something else happens in the future that's pretty important. But like correcting him, and then all of a sudden you make Mikey Musumeci wrestle and he looks like a D1 wrestler the next week, and you go, wait a minute. Now D1 wrestlers don't do this event because they're scared of this little dude. Oh no, we screwed up everything. So I've been thinking a lot about it. I'm trying to come up with the right cure here. I just know it never feels like a good thing when somebody's telling you like, so I guess I can't do anything right. It's like, well, God, Mikey, you're starting to sound like my mom, you know, like no matter what you do, she's just always going to have a comment. like always this deep Catholic mom just bitching about, oh, so now you don't like takedowns? Okay, that's cool. Oh, I guess we don't like footlocks all of a sudden. It's just like, no, I'm not saying that. It just be good. That's what I'm looking at.
Where did you learn that, mijo? Yeah.
Just a lot of things. One of my favorite things about growing up Hispanic is no matter what you thought you were doing well, there was always a variation of it that you'd go, wait, what? Why are you yelling at me? I literally cleaned my room. And then you look at me like, yeah, enough. But now all the basura is all like lined up. You made so much trash and they don't come here till Tuesday. And I go, oh, okay. Sorry.
Man, that is a lived experience. I know exactly what you mean.
It is a rough life, children of the not 80s. Nonetheless, we're going to move on to our next topic, which is, well, the mystery was solved for one of them, Tim. And this is important to note. By the way, the Scooby-Doo is cinema.
Yeah, you like that?
Well, we know who William Tackett is facing. It's going to be William Tackett versus Junior.
Yeah.
We still don't know who Andrew Tackett is taking on. And that is, as Sarah McLachlan once said, building the mystery. Like, we don't know who's going versus who here, and that's going to be confusing to us. But let's take a moment and to acknowledge that for an organization where we just spent a few minutes saying, hey, Mikey could be a little bit better for opponents, this is a pretty good match, Tim, is it not?
Yeah, Ronaldo Jr. and William Tackett, younger brother of Andrew, who's also a BJJ champion.
Andrew's younger.
It's going to be a great match. What's that?
Andrew is younger.
Oh, sorry, he's the younger brother. Oh, Andrew's younger. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. I got the boys mixed up. Apologies, Andrew. Both guys really good. William's fantastic. Ronaldo Jr. is fighting everywhere all the time. He's doing very, very well. He has a pretty decent record at Fight Pass Invitational, and he's got a stylistic matchup that will be very entertaining to watch against William Tackett. Like, I think this is going to be a match where there's lots of fireworks, lots of movements. I don't think we're going to have any sit-down crane kicks. If somebody goes into a crane kick stance, I would venture to say they're going to actually throw the kick in that match. So I think that'll be a great matchup. It is kind of odd that they don't have anyone for Andrew. Maybe they're still looking, man. I don't know. Maybe Mikey hasn't decided who Andrew's going to fight yet.
That is more than likely what is a possibility out there. Mikey's just holding up the thought process on who's fighting who and being like, oh, I don't know. This is a tough one. Maybe I clone me twice and then they fight him. So don't know.
Yeah. Maybe I could just see Mikey, sitting at the table and all these fight potential matchup makers, they're sliding index cards in front of him like topic ideas. And he's just like, no, don't like him. Nope, he's mean. Nope, don't like the way he looks. Nope, too much grappling. Oh, he collar ties. Gross. It's just like, no. They just can't find anybody. We've got 300 potential matchups, Mikey.
That might be it. It's that so many of them got passes that Mikey ran out of people to say no to. And then immediately had to settle on, well, who took third at No-Gi Worlds this year? Fine. Let's bring him in. Somebody did put this up, and I forgot to say this. So shout out to this individual who was talking to me the night when I was watching it and had a little discussion on it. I think they were saying that part of the reason you haven't seen who the opponent was for Andrew Tackett was that they were waiting to see who won at No-Gi Pans recently or No-Gi Worlds. Like, they're like, we won't know until we see it.
Yeah.
And I have to
find
say,
someone to poach.
That's a pretty strong argument. Like, if there's any theory, it feels like that's the one. Like, this is 100% the copying off of the homework sort of thing where you get the people from UFC.
Yeah,
like, well,
right.
Who won? Who won? And what is his name? Is he foreign? Do we have a Bad Bunny situation here? Can he speak? Oh, he speaks English. Oh, okay, cool. And what is his? You know what? We're not even gonna ask what the rate is. We'll just pay him what we pay him. And cool, thank you. And you'll never see him again. Yay, we've got him. All right. So I think that's kind of what they're looking to do. Having said that, we're going to move on to our next topic, which is this. All right. Joe Rogan this week was quoted as saying that Mark Zuckerberg, the man who is probably within every conversation you've ever had, is a savage at BJJ. I put this on this board this week because I wonder two things. One, how deep is Joe Rogan in the world of jiu-jitsu to the point where now he's calling somebody like Mark Zuckerberg a savage? He's hosting discussions about Moneyberg. Is he good? Is he legit? And it makes me wonder if we need to have a small intervention. Joe Rogan is a black belt. He is esteemed one of the foremost commentators in the world for just any sport, let alone MMA. But what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Tim, your thoughts?
I think Rogan has, obviously a lot of experience, and he's got connections and contacts. He could talk to any grappler in the world at a moment's notice. He could walk into any gym and be treated very, very well. Having said that, I'm not sure Zuck is a mat savage. There's a difference between being savage and being a mat savage. I think what he's saying is Zuck is a savage because he's got more money than Moneyberg. Sorry, I got the name wrong. Moneyberg. Allegedly, he's got like $5 billion more than Moneyberg. And he could pretty much do whatever he wants. And yet, being in that position, he still is trying to learn jiu-jitsu. And it seems like he's going about it in a manner and way like many of us came up, with the exception that he's probably not training in Gin Pop. He's probably training with Dave Camarillo and a group of very trusted students, but maybe he's not. Who knows? Now, is he a mat savage? Highly doubt it. I highly doubt it. Mat savages generally do not have more than, $63 in their bank account. But, good on him. I love Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan done a lot of cool stuff for our sport. He's elevated it in a way. Part of the 10th Planet crew, obviously a lot of love for him. But, when he gets into jiu-jitsu, it's no longer like JRE. It almost feels like Ricky Lake, or it's like when Oprah first came on and it was like controversial and kind of wild and her show was kind of crazy, and then they cleaned it up as she got more popular. That's kind of what he devolves to when he has jiu-jitsu guys on. Like, let's talk about Moneyberg, or let's talk about Zuckerberg. Whatever, man. I'm sure he's savage, but I don't think he's Matt Savage.
I'm glad that you brought up the Oprah thing, because long ago I started referring to Joe Rogan as the male Oprah, and that clearly we didn't get a choice in electing a male Oprah. It just kind of happened. And that he would be like, when Oprah goes, "You guys, I love bread." It's the same thing as Joe Rogan being like, "Alpha Brain is really what trained you, bro." Like, very similar. Oprah gave us Dr. Phil. Joe Rogan gave us Brandon Schaub. Oprah gave us Dr. Oz. Joe Rogan seems to give us Russell Brand for however many reasons. I'm not quite clear. Let me say this. All right, Joe Rogan, clearly kind of the king of this podcast world. People have formed an association with him because he's the everyman. He can be relatable. And for a lot of people, he is the gateway drug that got them into jiu-jitsu. But if you're around long enough, you do start to hear creaks in the jiu-jitsu knowledge that aren't necessarily modern. You hear him calling moves that aren't necessarily the move's name, or that he might be aware of somebody, he's seen a clip or two, but that whenever he is engaging in conversation about jiu-jitsu, it seems to have a 1990s carbon date. Now, is that bad? No, not necessarily. It's good for the sport in that it encourages us to spread the gospel, get more people to come here. It makes it more popular. There's still a lot of good benefits to him talking about it, even if we kind of recognize, oh, well, he called that a knee bar, but you know what I mean? It's more like, okay, we'll just leave it at that, Joe. I think my issue is this. I just wish he had a thesaurus. When I look at Mark Zuckerberg, the word savage does not be anywhere in that first thought, 100 thoughts, 1,000 thoughts. Even me going to AI, it's not going to suggest Mark Zuckerberg is a savage. It's not going to spit that back at me. And yet, we have created a culture because of Joe Rogan where it's like, oh, that dude's a savage. Is he? I wouldn't doubt that he has gotten good from the people he has worked with. And as Tim defines it, there's the difference between being a savage in life and being a savage on the mats. And because we are speaking specifically about his jiu-jitsu acumen, we are trying to combine the fact that his professionalness, the things that he does off the mats, make it all the more impressive or savage that he comes on and does this amazing sport like the rest of us.
Right.
Okay, cool. How about those fucking doctors that come and train with us? Those firemen, those policemen, those people have fucking long ass days. I'd rather reserve that word savage for them because they are staying up till all ends of the day at the 6 a.m. class. You probably don't even know them half the time because you go to the 6 p.m. like a fucking loser. But I just think you oversaturate.
That's the class I teach, man.
Sorry, Tim. Didn't recognize that was the time he taught. I'm trying to make a larger point. Let me get through it.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I just didn't know that was going to hit a direct line home. It's just, I didn't mean to sink anybody's battleship. It's just, let's be honest, the people who attend 6 p.m. a little more lackadaisical than those who do 6 a.m. 6 a.m. people want that shit.
I agree.
6 p.m. are just like, hey, I mean, the Phillies are losing, so I better go do something if I live in Philly. Anyway, my overall point is this. I wasn't even rage baited into this as badly as I thought I would be. I just kept thinking, like, don't call him a savage. We don't need to do that. But I also recognize maybe Joe Rogan doesn't know other words that are good for savage. So I thought on air, I would come up. I'm going to put this in just to show you what a thesaurus works like here, Joe Rogan. I'm going to type in savage. Now, mind you, it's going to be a little bit different because it's not going to be Urban Dictionary. Okay? So here's some other words for savage. Beast, brute, assassin, rascal. Miscreant, I don't really like.
He's a rascal. I like
By the way, perpetrator, don't like that one as well. Evildoer, meanie, baddie, rapscallion, blackguard, weird, villainous. All right, we're starting to get into the lower side. Cutthroat, transgressor. Okay. Holy shit. Rough.
That's biblical.
That hoodlum. He's a fucking hoodlum. That's a way better describing word for Mark Zuckerberg. Serpent. Yeah, okay. Heel. Fucking desperado. These are words that probably have better use for Mark Zuckerberg. Again, can't emphasize this enough. Rapscallion, crook, no good, which is great. Gangster. I'd even take gangster over that. devil, monster. I mean, now we're getting into some of the nether regions of Facebook and what they do call Mark Zuckerberg. I think you take me at my point. But
yeah,
you can't tell me that referring to somebody as a baddie is not as ridiculous when you hear it your way and we hear it our way, which was, Mark Zuckerberg, that dude's like a real baddie. Wouldn't your brain trigger the same way that we heard Savage? Because it was just like, he's not. He's a dude who has a lot of money, who has a lot of friends, who will tell him he is so good at this one thing, which is amazing, which is great. And we want these people to come and stay. But we don't have to lie. Like, that is the one thing about being poor is you can understand that you don't have as much money as this dude, but there is zero reason that you need to lie unless you're on the payroll, which I don't think you are. But if you were, that would sound like something you would say. So,
yeah, agreed.
Anyway.
Agreed. Well put. Well played.
Just listen, dude. It always comes into effect at even my own gym when somebody's like, oh, that dude's a savage. And I was like, he just printed copies, dude. Like, no, he's not a savage. He went to the fucking FedEx,
dude.
That dude's a savage.
He's a full-on sav.
Dude, you see that dude? That dude's driving a Hyundai. That dude's savage. No, he's not. No, he's just getting from one place to another. Shut up, everybody. All right, let's move on to our next one. Ooh, this is good. Well, it turns out that ADCC has a code of conduct, which begs the question, did they not before? And the answer is for sure. But now they're trying to go even more professional. So, Tim, I'd love for you to kind of give us the nuts and bolts of what we need to know about this new ADCC code of conduct, sir.
Yeah, it's about time they implemented a code of conduct. Now, what I really think is driving this is the opens. They're doing lots of ADCC opens. A lot of people are competing. This is definitely an issue, especially with the parents who have kids. I have seen some of the worst behavior out of spectators, coaches, and athletes, to be honest. I've seen some pretty bratty kids out there. Now, they're kids. Okay, whatever. They're still a brat. I don't know what to tell you. Acting pretty outlandish. And it's mostly probably a response to that, but it does involve adults. And they're saying that the goal is they want to standardize expectations of behavior. Look, I can't even believe we have to say that. Like, we don't know what the expectations of behavior are, not just in matches, but how competitors, coaches, parents interact with the officials. Essentially, it kind of boils down to like a couple key provisions, which it's like taking sexual harassment training at work. It's like, dude, you should know these things. If you don't know these things, then you already have a problem. But here we go anyway. Respect for officials. Always treat the officials and judges with respect. No kidding. All decisions are final, blah, blah, blah. No taunting. So you can't like talk shit to your opponents anymore. You can't get in their face and say stuff to them. No verbal abuse or taunting. No post-match physical contact outside of the handshake. So it's pretty much in that area. The other one that I think is going to hit worse is the sandbagging rule. So they're basically saying like, let's stop sandbagging. Don't misrepresent your skill. Players are expected to register, honestly. And it's all the violations are you can be banned or disqualified. Okay. All right. We'll see how well these rules have teeth. And then the other thing in terms of safety is they've banned the scissor takedown, and you can't slam anymore. And I don't know if this is an update, but this was included. So you can't slam to get out of a submission, which is like, that's lame. That's why people like the ADCC. ADCC was like the place where all the crazy people showed up because Nogi was basically a bunch of nomads for a long time. And they'd have ADCC and you'd see dudes in there that I don't think they could win a qualifier now to get there. But if you had a pair of board shorts and a T-shirt, you were a candidate to be an ADCC. Like, bring them in, guys. Let's get them. And so they're trying to clean up their act. Will it work? Probably not, but maybe there's someone they want to get rid of. Who are they trying to get rid of? Who's this policy directed towards, RAF?
Riff Raff. Just the low.
Yeah.
Probably my students, honestly. You know, it's great. I'm going through these. A few things jump at my head. One, it's one of the first press releases that is signed Mo Jassim. Normally, he just kind of decrees it and puts like a Instagram story, and then they just go like, I guess that's a bylaw now. Okay, cool. But this is one where he is ascribing his name, which begs the question, I thought he was retiring. Like, we knew that wasn't true. We know it's just a statement to get more engagement, or the jiu-jitsu equivalent of a sitcom whenever they pipe in the noise, the laughter, or the soundtrack, so that anytime Mo Jassim says that he's going to retire, they're looking for the Full House, like, aww, from the crowd to kind of come in.
Never gets it, though.
Never quite gets it, but then stays on because, like, this is just what he wants to do. You know what it'd be like? It'd be like, Tim, if I came on and I said, guess what, guys? Next week is the last episode of the Grappling Hour for serious. Everybody in their mind knows me well enough to go, it's not true. Raph loves doing this show. You're going to have to put him in a coffin to stop him from doing the show. And even at his own funeral, probably will have a podcast that people have to listen to. So, like, even in my coffin, they're going to play a video. It's like, hey, guys, welcome to the latest episode of Grappling Hour. I inserted my brain into AI, and this thing's going on forever. Here's the latest episode.
Dude,
so
I'm going to live stream from your funeral. I'll be like, Raph would have wanted this. You don't know. You guys don't
there's
know.
A pre-show.
This.
There's a post-show. You're talking with the people about the eulogies they gave. That's like, hey, you spoke really, really well. A controversial moment when you said that Raph was a bad person. What made you say that at his own fural? Like, that's the kind of thing I want. 100%
imagine go through the fashion awards. The fashion awards at Raph's funeral.
By the way, then telling people like the worst dressed was Raph. Who dressed this man? Not him. These accessories.
He looks waxy.
They had to throw in his black belt. I thought that was tacky, but it did make a fashion statement. So hold on. Egg, when I'm on a run, let me do the run first. And then I will come back and address whatever things are happening in the peanut gallery. Makes a Full House reference, but doesn't appreciate my growing pains reference. Listen, show me that smile, Egg. All right, let me get back to this. One, you have to respect a good slam. Well, not anymore. Apparently very bad for people. I think they're starting to get to the point where so many people are doing the ADCC opens that if you have civilians coming, those are potential lawsuits. So it's probably not as directed at just your everyday amazing practitioner, but the everyday dad and the moms that are coming to do this. And the kids, because the kids are lucrative for that. So you don't want the kids getting slammed and going like, well, Timmy can't walk now. So yikes. Here's one that I love, Tim. Zero tolerance for bullying or harassment. Any form of harassment, intimidation, or bullying, verbal, physical, or digital, will result in the removal and possible ban from future events. Well, I wish they would have told that to the ADCC staff of 2019 when they fired me from doing commentary, and then made a meme about me from one of their manager productions. But I would tell you this. I guess it also extends that they will go so seriously, they will fire you from the organization and you will still be there somehow. So I call bullshit on number 6 as a point of reference for their code of conduct, unless they're serious now. But here's the good news. You wrote it down. So now in perpetuity, we can reference this if that happens again. Because we were pretty happy when they said, hey, we've taken disciplinary action. Just kidding. We don't mean shit. We just make up rules as we go. Having said all this, Tim, you mentioned the akin of sexual harassment rules and meetings. There's one thing I know about jiu-jitsu people. They don't read. They should be forced to take a mandatory video experience. Like, if we're going to sell out and go corporate, let's go sell out and be corporate the whole way out.
Yeah.
Make them watch the jiu-jitsu sexual harassment equivalent, Respect in the Workplace. So we could call it Respect in the Mat Place. It's a 30-minute primer. And you get people who walk in and they say things like, hey, so you're thinking about competing at ADCC, aren't you? Well, maybe there are a few things that you need to know. Today, we're going to walk you through several scenarios. The first of which, Jimmy, I know you can powerbomb that guy, but maybe think twice about it. You don't want to be disqualified on the spot, would you, Timmy? Is it Timmy or Jimmy? I don't even know. What are you? Anyway,
either
doesn't matter.
Jimothy. It's Jimothy. Yeah.
The good news is they'd only do one take on all of these things, so it wouldn't necessarily matter. Listen, I think it's important to put these rules out there. I don't think people will care because you just want to have the rules so that you can go up to them and explain why their insanity is bad. It's not going to stop people from doing it. People react emotionally to stuff all the time. I went to go coach last week at Naga, and there were people who are my friends who I was coaching against. And they were like screaming at the referee and then looking at me like, why did they get points? And I was like, bro, I don't know, man. Like, I didn't give my kid points.
Naga's our Waffle House. It is jiu-jitsu Waffle House, more or less. You know what I mean? It's like, that's what we got.
I'm gonna let you guys all in on a secret here. I'm gonna put this on me, and then I'm gonna get your reaction here, Tim. Okay, so Naga was last week, and in the lead up to it, to get my students ready for this tournament, I gave them the points, I gave them the times, and I said, this is what you can expect at Naga. And so one of our guys, he's really good about reading the rules, so I'd have him give out points. And I would kind of like tell him yes or no, that's the right amount of points, that's the wrong amount of points. But Naga has some variations. So for takedowns, it's 1 or 2 points. And then sometimes submission attempts can be a point. So what I made a point to do as a coach was, as he would ascribe points to him, I would sit there and go, no. He's like, what do you mean no? Are we debating if that was a takedown? I was like, nah, not a takedown. Get mad. They get back up. You're looking for points. Coach, I think that was 1 point. I was like, nah, man. Naga goes off vibes, bro. And I didn't feel the vibes on that one. So then sometimes literally they'd get a takedown and I'd just look the other way and they're like, what's happening? And then they would 100% have an arm extended out and they'd be like, is that a submission attempt? I'd be like, no. And then some dude would fall back for a heel hook, miss it. And they'd be like, 1 point. They're like, what the fuck are you doing? And I go, I promise you, you don't know what I'm doing, but you will understand. And there were at least 6 times during that tournament last week where my guys looked at me and go, why did he get points? And I go, vibes. Bro, it's all about vibes. You got to feel the vibes. And so I have now come to the point, and this is my gift to all of you who are watching. If you're a coach and you are doing points during practice rounds for competition, sometimes just slip in an extra point or 2 just to see if they're paying attention. And if they're yelling at you, it means you're doing a great job as an instructor. Because to me, when my students go, Coach, I totally know what you were doing now. I go, I'm not smart at a lot of things, but I wanted to prepare you, because nothing is worse than thinking this is a takedown and somebody going, I didn't feel it. Sorry, man. So again, like Naga is still a thing, you dick. What does this even mean? Egg, do you not have a championship belt from Naga? Because I'll tell you this much. If you do, it's a thing. If you don't, it's not a thing.
You don't know what you don't know. Goals, the defunct taco chain.
You need to make a Jiu-Jitsu Waffle House t-shirt. What kind of fights are you trying to start here, sir? Because
I'm gonna do it. I'm actually gonna do it. I'm gonna make a 10p Nashville Waffle House t-shirt. So if anybody does it, you stole my idea, bitch. Even though I'm just stealing from Waffle House, but
that's fair. Having said that, in a real response, I'm glad ADCC is taking more steps towards trying to be a professional organization. Writing things down, surprisingly important. Making them stick is a very different thing. And how this now becomes play at ADCC Opens versus ADCC Trials, we will see in actuality, because in those events, they have so many matches, something's going to slip through the cracks. And when it happens next month, I'm going to be right here with the rule book, looking to figure out what the code of conduct is supposed to be, because does it just something that we do for ADCC Opens, or does it mean the ADCC organization by and large? Time will tell. But thank you for that, Travis. And it says, Naga pays the absolute now. Yes, thank you, Relentless Jiu-Jitsu Panda, which is too long of a name. But yes, Naga does pay the absolute people some money. I've seen them make like $700, $1,000. I don't know if it's 2,000, but like paying them any amount of money is kind of dope. And I know I did just kind of say some stuff about the vibes. I love the people who work there, but more than that, I think it's important to occasionally do a tournament or two that is pure chaos. And I love that Naga is the wild, wild west. Like when I was describing to my kids, I said, here's what you can potentially expect. One of you is going to face somebody with no rash guard. One of you is going to go in there and not think you got points and got points. One of you is going to think you did something and did get 0 points for it. One of you guys is going to probably go up against your own teammates if you don't go to different things. Literally everything I said came to pass. And all of my students were like, Coach, how do you know this? I'm like, I have been alive for 1,000,000 years in jiu-jitsu. I can just tell you certain patterns are going to happen.
Basically.
So, yes, I appreciate that. And it says, not unless the dream is there. Like, what does that mean? Dream, Steve, what does this mean? What are we looking at there? Know. We're going to move forward.
I think he's talking about the Waffle House.
Oh, okay. I'm not clear. I love Waffle House. It's been a minute, so I'm having fond memories. But let's press on. Lachlan Giles had an interesting statement to make, and he seems to be saying, or at least alluding to the fact that you don't necessarily need strength and conditioning to be a top-tier competitor. I would love to live in this world. But I've also trained with people that I have immediately thought, is that dude on the sauce? And then I've trained with people that I've immediately thought, no, he's for sure on the sauce. Tim, your thoughts on this?
Everybody in jiu-jitsu is in one of 3 states. It's either getting ready to do the sauce, on the sauce, or just got done doing the sauce. I really like Lachlan Giles, but listen, we have gone to the well of, but look at Marcelo. He doesn't do anything. And we've been saying this for 20 years. That is the definition of the outlier, Marcelo Garcia. Also, have you seen how big Marcelo's hands are? They are freaking gigantic. They go out to like here. Has a real big advantage to have giant hands in no-gi jiu-jitsu. But Lachlan says that, sure. You get the sure. You don't need exercise. We know that. You need peptides, growth, TRT, poppers, Molly, ketamine, Viagra, Alpha Brain, Whippets, all those things. Pony up on those. You don't need to work out. Walk in a walking pharmacy and win. look at the last handful of guys that have really been dominant at the highest levels in no-gi grappling, and even the little ones are jacked. They're all jacked. They all look like little freaking Mikey Musumici's like 106 pounds. Shredded. Hoffa Mendez, shredded. Look at Lachlan Giles, shred. And look, not throwing shade on Lachlan, but he looked a little saucy at ADCC the year he went on his big run.
Wow.
I might be wrong. I don't know. I'm just a guy who watches sports, but I'm just saying. Maybe not strength and conditioning, but maybe you need the medicine cabinet, my friend.
By the way, I'm just a guy who watches sports is the best defense anybody has ever used on a talking show ever. I want to put up this quotation. This comes to us from Egg that says, Raf admits he's old now. Wow, the revelation. He's the smartest guy around, it is known. It's very nice of you, Egg. I didn't know that you would actually be saying something like that, but I mean, is what it is. You see it in print, and you can't take it away ever, ever, ever. It's just in existence in perpetuity. So thank you very much for that again. Okay. So here's what I want to say. I definitely for years went through on the, well, Marcelo doesn't lift. But as I'm getting older, I have to do some slight S&C, and it really does bug me. But I got a buddy. His name's Asim, Nova Barbell Club out of Virginia. Sends me a program every week. It looks good. It's not fun to do. Like, I don't really take enjoyment off of it. But what I'm trying to do is get old and not die. And I want to be on the mats forever. So it is my thing that I do to try and make sure I am keeping my part of the deal as my body becomes more decrepit and I get older. Having said all this, even in a photo I put of me in a tank top, I got accused of steroids. And I'm like, first of all, they're not very good steroids if they are. But second, like, can somebody just lift in jiu-jitsu without being called on steroids? No, that's not how this works. It's like, how dare you go against us and start looking in a little bit better shape? It just comes with the territory. Too many people now are so conspiratorial to it. But I will say, I love the fact that, Tim, as you were saying it out loud, all I could think of was, what in the RFK are we doing? Like, when you're sitting there going like, nah, man, it's all about peptides. Fuck that shit. Get your shit up. You don't even need to lift. You know what you need? To not be circumcised. If you got circumcised, you're screwed for lifting. That's just science now, especially if your mom took Tylenol as you were trying to get swole in the womb. But that shit is out the window. I'm seeing some notes here. And it says, what do you tell your students about being on the sauce? I'll be honest with you. They tell me more about it because I don't necessarily even do all the research on it. But sometimes you get people who are making the case that steroids aren't so bad after all. I think that somebody like Gordon at the top of the food chain has turned it into a campaign to say, well, it's not illegal. Like, that's the argument. So he's just trying to change public perception. For years, public perception was, well, it's cheating. But at the same point, some of the best seasons of baseball were the most steroided it. And you get to a point where you say, what does the public want? And we joke about it. We say all these things. By and large, good short term, maybe long term, not great for the body is what we always find. But now everything gets smarter and smarter as we continue to get older. So I think this early campaign may have long-term effects of people having no qualms about it. But one of my students did say, they're like, well, if you're going up against somebody, why wouldn't you want to be on something? And I thought, that's the wrong attitude. But it's part of the campaign that's coming now. Like, it is a full-on, like, war on drugs in the 80s. Egg in the frying pan. This is your brain. This is your brain on drugs. Like, that's going on with you guys on every podcast you probably listen to. It is just the culture on, are steroids that bad? I don't know, man. Maybe. And in this age of pseudoscience, watch it get more extreme. I think you just have to pay attention to the bigger detriments that happen as a result of it. So it says 5 degrees and a 20-pound brain here. Congrats on the Photoshop edit of my comment. It's not Photoshop. I pressed the button and it came on. 20-pound brain needs to figure out science a little bit better. I'm just saying. But that was not the only thing that Lachlan had in the news this week. It was just announced today, and I'm very happy that this came out because this, my friends, is a better use of your time. And I don't know that it will be a better match than anything we've seen Mikey do in UFC BJJ, but on paper, I like it a lot better because it's finally people more relevant to playing against each other and really making us excited to see. It is Marcelo Garcia versus Lachlan Giles. Tim, what are your thoughts on this?
I would love to see Marcelo Garcia and Lachlan Giles because I personally think Marcelo would beat Lachlan Giles, and I love Marcelo. I like Lachlan Giles too, but I was super stoked when Marcelo came back and had his match. Was that against Eminari, who he fought? Or was Shinya Aoki? I thought it was Eminari, right? Yeah.
I thought it was Eminari, yeah.
Yeah, what a fantastic thing to see him back. And Marcelo's like actually the guy to in terms of like being a good human being. So him out there. Be an entertaining match. I think Lachlan's got a lot of tricks up his sleeve. He's a very talented grappler, but I just don't think you can defeat Marcelo. I think he's still better than the rest of us.
I mean, these are the real GOAT conversations I want to have. Like Marcelo coming back after fighting cancer and still being a savage. He looked great in the last ONE FC fight. They're not just feeding him to some Rotolo brother and saying like, well, good luck and Godspeed. At least this one makes sense. It's two technical giants and Lachlan being this current meta of maybe the best instructor on video right now, and Marcelo being the guy who made it possible for so many smaller people to dream that they could beat bigger people, like made a process. Right. And what happens when they say don't meet your heroes? Marcelo is not that guy. Marcelo is very much the like, damn, he's actually a really cool dude. And I thought he would be nice. And who knew? He was nice. The dude who smiles all the time, pretty easy to talk to. Okay. So I would tell you guys, very excited for this one. And yeah, just I'm feeling very excited. And what a nice way for ONE FC to kind of sneak in there while everybody's bitching about UFC BJJ. They're not calling out anybody. They literally just go like, hey, would you guys like this one? And all of us were like, yes, that's a match that I want to see. You can only do so many of those, but that was the right one to do. So major kudos to them on that.
Yeah. Nice job.
Tim, we're going to advance this one. You're going to know way more about this, but it looks like Vans and Show Your Roll are coming together to release a new brand of shoes. Tim, what exactly can we expect from this collaboration?
So here's what you can expect. Damn hipsters at Art of Jiu-Jitsu bought them all out already. They're all gone. They were gone immediately. No. They probably had all the kids and adults and the parents. They probably, even though I know that's a Ruka branded spot, they probably all got in there, and Hoffa and Guy were like, okay, on my mark, everybody press the buy button. Yeah, so they did a collab, Vans, which is a very popular, obviously, streetwear brand. Has a lot of its roots in skating and surfing, and that extreme sports culture. Has recently done a collab with Show Your Roll. They have a couple shoes. One I think is called like the Pearl Weave or the Light Weave, and it actually looks like gi material on the shoe. The one that we have up in the right-hand picture is a slightly different one, but I think the material might be the same. Pretty cool shoes. To be real, I'm not even going to lie. I was going to get some. I'm like, this is freaking dope. Anytime jiu-jitsu crosses over into mainstream fashion culture, I'm down with that. I'll support that. But yeah, they were sold out like instantly. They were gone. Just like all the other Show Your Roll shit. it was gone pretty quick. But that's a pretty cool thing. And I've been telling anybody who will listen that jiu-jitsu is more street and punk than a normal sport is, and it has a strong affinity to skating and surfing. It's not that it's exactly a crossover culture. There's many people that skate that do jiu-jitsu and vice versa, but it's still kind of like a similar, it's like a cousin or something. It's a very similar niche sport. I think it follows a similar trajectory is that those particular sports followed. They were very niche for a long time, very raw, very self-supported. And jiu-jitsu is very much on the same kind of pathway. So I thought it was awesome, man. I'd love to get a pair for everyone on the bullpen, which I guess is just the two of us. So I think I could actually afford that.
What a great moment that you're like, Raph, I thought about getting you this, and me going, wow, that's so nice. Yeah, they sold out in 2 minutes. Oh,
sorry, man. Yeah, they're gone.
You know, it's the thought that counts. And so,
It
Tim,
is.
that is why I also had the thought of raising everybody's pay here at the bullpen $10,000 per episode. But remember, we can't do that because reasons. And also, it's the thought that counts, though. So, yay me
tariffs.
for thinking it. 100% all tariffs. And our weird investment in Tylenol, which who knew that would not pay
not
off.
paying off. Yeah.
Before we move on to that, I would just tell you this. I think we are going to see more and more collaborations for jiu-jitsu lines and products, and I think we should be open to that. And you bring up a great point on it being entrenched in punk roots. A lot of people who come to this sport, basically, we have people from all walks of life, but I can't tell you how many people who come from a punk life where they still pick up a skateboard and they're 40, and I go, what? How do you do that?
I know, right?
I can't. I would never do that. I didn't do that when I was 18, let alone now when I'm scared of my knees doing anything. So props and respect to all those people. But Tim, I'm going to put down the fight of the week here in a second. But before I do, what can you tell us about this week's low light highlight?
These are, I got to say, these are two big dudes, and they're throwing not the most technical, but they're throwing jackhammers. And it's kind of reminds me when two alpha animals in the wild meet up and they just start going at it, and you're not sure which one's going to come out on top. The fight plays out. It's pretty quick, and one guy's clearly the winner, and I think he's on the stack that I read off a few minutes ago for jiu-jitsu athletes. Video. The crowd watching is like, they were entertained, and they didn't seem like they were very phased. Like they didn't really think they were get hit or there'd be any danger. I would have hid behind a car if I saw these two dudes going at it, but here we go, man.
By the way, the Judge Ito up there is amazing. I was having flashbacks on it. I was like, am I seeing him? Am I hallucinating Judge Ito? Nobody in the year 2025 is thinking like, you know who I need to see more of? Judge Ito. So thank you for that throwback there. I'll come to you in a second here, CPT Tetris, aka Brady. But for right now, we are going to throw up this fight of the week for everybody to be entertained by, and Tim is going to take the first stab at telling us what we can expect from all of this. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go.
They're on team shirt. They got in a scuffle. Black Pants is throwing hammer fist at Sweatpants. The car comes into play. Ooh. Now, the dude with the chain who kind of looks like Derek Lewis was like, oh, it's all good.
Shit.
And then Sweatpants guy gets the money knocked out of his hand. He's trying to get back up. And now this is that little kid that was in the diaper going, I'm grown a few years ago. He basically put the I'm grown flex on his ass right at the end and kind of scared him out of the parking lot. Like if you scare your opponent to where he's stumbling to get away from you in his beefy gray sweatpants, he can't go back to that establishment. He's done. He can never go back there again. If he was on the floor, he just lost those squares, man.
And it says, "Oh God, LLL, is this World Star Hip Hop?" It's better than World Star Hip Hop. World Star Hip Hop just shows you the stuff. We have an educational aspect to us. So please do not just lump us in together as one and the same. Allow me to take my stab at this one, Tim, because as I was watching this one, you're right, it is short, but we're not short on highlights even from this short one. All right, first of all, can we just say this? If you start a fight with the hit my fist sort of propeller motion and donk someone on the back of their head, already off to a great start. Watch this. 1, 2, 3, donk. Hits that. Dude goes down, takes down part of the equilibrium. But getting in some good, mountain climbers here. So this is really important. You want to get your workout in. He's trying to get back. He's getting his base up. And now these two gentlemen are in a clinch. He gets pushed up against the car, and he's trying to find some sort of guard to hit up here. But you're noticing that we'll call these two gentlemen. I think it's important we identify who is who here. So let's call black shorts or black pants guy. We're going to refer to him as Faison Love from the Friday franchise. So you got Faison Love on the right. And in the left, I think you've got one of Gable Stevenson's extended cousins. So Gable Stevenson's cousin not doing well here, losing that battle. But once he gets pushed up against that car, eating shots from Faison Love. Faison Love basically getting in a few. And now he has dropped him here, but he rolls to his side very effectively. Gets back up to his base, but nah, this left hand's coming to go night-night. And that is my favorite way that people fall. This right here, Tim, when you look like you got tased, is the funniest of all fight falls there is. Because you keep thinking, this dude might be yelling out, like as he goes down. You can hear him like, but still not out and still trying to get back up. And he is dazed. He is not feeling good, but the flex on your opponent, at that point, you won. There's nothing else to do. If you have time to flex on your opponent, you have won the fight. And sir, we tip our hat to you. So a very solid fight. Tim, before we start to wrap things up, we did actually get a couple notes here. I'm going to ask you this first one. This one comes compliments of Brady. And the question is, good morning, gentlemen. Actually, this isn't morning for us, but okay. Yeah. Good morning, gentlemen. It's a bit off topic, but I've got a gi white belt tournament coming up. What kind of advice would you give, and what's your favorite takedown? Tim, I'll let you start.
Well, my advice, only compete in the white belt division, purple belt and up, because white belts can be crazy. But assuming, Brady, you're a white belt, my advice to you is, if you're coming to the bullpen for advice, you might have messed up already, JK. Listen, first tournament I ever did. It's not his first tournament. It's just a white belt tournament. Look, man, here's what I'm going to tell you. Don't make anything but your opponent your opponent. I see guys do this all the time. They sign up to compete and they make the weight cut their opponent. They'll spend 80% of their time obsessing and focusing on making weight, and the making weight becomes the enemy instead of the guy you got to fight the next day or the day of or the morning of. I've seen it where guys get obsessed with cardio. My cardio's no good. And then cardio becomes the enemy that they focus on. Just do jujitsu, stay in shape, be ready, go have a good time. At the white belt level, aggression and being first covers up a majority of the mistakes that are made, and it can fix a majority of mistakes that you make. So that is my direct advice to you. anything can happen in the white belt division. You could win at any moment. So don't give up and go first and go hard. That's how you win at the white belt level.
Thank you for that, Tim. My main advice when you're first starting to compete, I mean, I didn't compete at the very beginning of my journey. I didn't compete until more recently. And I think the first thing you got to have is your why. So if you know why you're competing, then you probably have more direction on what you're willing to do. So that means, are you willing to make a weight cut? If you know your why, you might be able to. If you don't, it's iffy. Because I've seen people be like, oh, I'll make this weight cut, no problem. I'm like, what's your why? And they'll be like, I don't know. And I go, uh-oh. 3 days later, hey, coach, I'm not going to drop the weight. Yeah, I know. So that's one. 2, make a plan. Like, whatever it is you're trying to do, these are intel gathering missions. So legitimately try to think and visualize what you're trying to do. Write it down even. And if you can make what you wrote down happen, it's not a parlor trick that Gordon Ryan does. It is more visualizing your success. And win or lose, you're going to have intel. Did you do certain things that helped you to get to what you wrote down? If you didn't, then you have really big glaring holes that you'll be able to see on video. So the third thing that I say to my students is, accept what happens, win or lose. Like, you are going there. I do not expect you to get a medal. I do not require it. And in fact, sometimes even when you win, I may not even be as happy as I would if I saw you hit your game plan, because that means more medals will happen in the future if that is a goal for you. If you're just trying to win a medal once in a big tournament, and sometimes that's a big deal to people because you're going through adversity and this is a symbolic thing, that's understandable too. But if you're looking to be good at jiu-jitsu, which I think is kind of everybody's goal who competes, accept win or lose that you're getting intel back. It's trying to tell you something. And if you're truly smart at what that intel is trying to tell you, you will get better in a more qualified way. But if you're just trying to win some gold medals, then do what you need to do to win. That's it. I mean, that's really what you want to hear, because you don't care about getting better. You're like, I'm already good. It's like, you're good as a white belt, bro. Shit gets a lot harder as you get older. And you know what? Hang your hat on that gold medal if that is your main goal. But I got news for you. The goal should always be to try and be better at jiu-jitsu. And I think that's a quantifiable way to do it. So good luck to you, CPT Tetris. I hope it goes well, but I am going to require, since you asked us very vocally on the show, that you will tell us how it went. So please get back to us on a future episode and let us know how it went. Speaking of which, Tim,
for sure,
I'm going to put the camera on you, sir. Tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me at Inside AJ on your favorite social media platform. You can find me out in Nashville all the time at 10th Planet Nashville. You can also catch me in Stockton. I'll be out in November 14th, 15th, and 16th. So if you're out that way, come say hi. Raf, it's always great to hang out with you, man. I love doing the show. There's always, every time I look at the board and I look at the topics and I'm thinking and we're coming up with ideas and I'm like, man, I got to talk shit on Mikey Musumeci again. But then when it actually comes time to do it, it's so refreshing and I have such a great time. So thank you, my man. Couldn't find a better way to close out the week.
So happy that the end of this is, Raph, sometimes I'm not sure how the show's gonna go, but then we shit on Mikey Musumeci and I'm like, I'm back.
It's awesome. I'm back, bitches. Yeah, thanks, man. Love you guys.
Tim, great work this week. I'll talk to you a little bit later, sir. But for right now, a few reminders. Thank you guys for tuning into this week's episode of The Bullpen. I hope you enjoyed this one. It says, don't visit Oceanside without giving me a heads up. I think that's to you, Tim. I mean, it probably applies to me too. But I think I'm going to San Diego, which is Oceanside, but it's in the way. Next month, I don't know how long I'm going to be out there, though. So, more to come on that one. Reminders, if you guys like the show, like, comment, and subscribe wherever you're watching. It's the least we ask for. It's the least you can do. That's it. You can also check me out at patreon.com/grappling hour. $5 a month. You see 4 interviews per month. Plus, for a few extra bonus dollars, you can see extra bonus content not available anywhere else. You could also get you some Grappling Hour t-shirts. We just put out some Grappling Hour tanks. I like them a lot. I hope you guys will too. It's a good way to show off the gains. I've already gotten some very nice comments from some friends on the post that we put up announcing it. And no, I'm not on steroids. I know. I'm just very good at editing photos. So there's that. Literally about like 20 pounds heavier on that, but slimmed myself down. One dude said I was on Ozempic. Shut up, dude. I'll see you on the mats if you ever return. Brandon Lynch, media. You know who you are. But yeah, that's pretty much what you can do there. I'm going to let you guys know tomorrow night I'm actually going to be the cage side interviewer for a new organization. This is all taking place at one of my favorite bars here in SoCal. It is Tarantula Hill out in Thousand Oaks. But the fight organization is called the Regime Fight League. I will be interviewing all the fighters after their matches. Very stoked for that. And it's going to be a blast. So I'll tell you all about that next week. But in the meantime, guys, that's going to do it for us here at the Bullpen. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you guys. We will be back here next Friday. But until then, it's been a great day for grappling. We'll see you back on the mats.